Hello, and thanks again for joining us for another Fathom Live, a live show dedicated to giving you tips and insights for leaders in and around the real estate industry. I'll get it sometime. I'm your host, Jeff Sturz, with my co-host, Josh Hartley, founder and CEO of Fathom Realty. So today our guest is Michael Creighton. He's in Carrollton, Texas, and we're going to bring him on. Excited about that in just a minute. But before that, this is legitimately unfiled paperwork. It sits by my printer where things have been scanned and have come in, and it needs to be filed. And wouldn't it be nice if this could sort of
go
away, blow away? Well, it can, or at least I think it can. Maybe not this paperwork, but your transaction paperwork can, with the fine people at On Target Transactions. They help you work smarter rather than harder by handling all of your transaction needs. They manage contracts, integrations, deadlines, coordinating inspections, appraisals, walkthrough, and closings. They help you communicate with your clients, but also work with you in that process as well. And of course, if it doesn't close, you don't pay. So you can use on-target transactions with confidence, knowing that your investment is going to be a wise investment and saving you a lot of time and money.
That's right. Especially the time to be able to give back to your family, or even give back to the business and be able to grow your business further. So it's definitely a great system and great program.
Check it out at ontargettransactions.com. Again, our guest today is Michael Creighton. Michael, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Proud to be here, guys.
Michael currently serves over 200 agents in the Denton County area.
Close to 300, actually.
Close. Wow. Okay, these are old stats. I must have pulled old stats. So almost 300 agents. He is the Fathom's Texas regional recruiter. He was a Rookie of the Year in 2006 at KW, Diamond Club Award, multi-million-dollar producer, all kinds of stuff. He's a top district director in the country for Fathom. And if you think he's just the Pied Piper and gets people just to come, they actually stay too, because he's top. He has a top district for retention as well. So just a very fascinating work that you've done, Michael, in this area, in the Denton, Texas area. But before we jump into all the questions, if you'd like to ask a question, make sure that you join us on the live chat. We've gotten some really great questions in the past. It should be, if you're there on the show page, it should be right to your right there. I don't know if that's that way or this way, but check that out. If you're on mobile, there'll be a link below the video there, or you can just click on the video and it'll bring you to the YouTube page where you can chat on mobile. So now, Michael, as we're kind of getting started here, you have a hobby that's semi-business. You do woodworking and more than that. Tell us about that a little bit.
I've worked with kind of wood and steel my whole life. Learned when I was really young, and over the past couple of years, steel working has kind of become a passion for me. I'm making custom knives, swords, and things like that. And up to this point, it's just been a hobby. But now people are starting to come forward and asking to purchase them and things like that. So kind of neat that a hobby can become something just really passionate and turn into something a little bit bigger.
Do you have any examples or samples of?
Yeah, well, the one I showed you a minute ago. This is one that I just got done. That is a chef's knife out of stainless steel and epoxy and burl handle. So, yes, sir.
Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Very cool hobby. Now, I also understand that you had kind of a not only traumatic experience earlier in your life, but also we probably say life-changing. I mean, most traumatic things are, but tell us a little bit about that.
When I was 29, I had open heart surgery. I was actually born with a congenital heart defect. It's a congenital thing. So lived my whole life with that, went through high school, went through Army, was told my whole life I had a murmur. And then at 29 years old, I discovered I had what's called an atrial septal defect. Basically had no dividing wall between my top two chambers. So I only had 3 chambers rather than 4. I should have been dead well in junior high or high school. God's had a hand on me most of my life. I'm meant to be here for something. Hopefully I'm figuring out what that is. But yeah, it was quite the experience to live through. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm definitely glad you're here with us. You mentioned the Army, so I understand that you're actually an Army Ranger.
Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you for your service. Truly appreciate that.
Thank you.
How long did you serve?
Just under 6 years.
That's quite a bit. So tell me about the Arm Ranger experience. What did you learn
Oh
from that?
boy. I was very fortunate. I didn't get sent to battalion. I actually got sent to Anchorage, Alaska, your home, not close to your hometown, not your hometown, but close. Was there for, like I said, just under 6 years. Alaska's a beautiful place. I was part of the 106 MI. We were treated very well. We were kind of the general's babies up there. So it was a good experience. Good experience. Got to learn a lot about myself.
Alaska is beautiful. I grew up there, but I got to tell you, I couldn't get out there fast enough. So
Yeah,
I do love the experience.
Absolutely. One thing though, thinking back now, I wish I would have enjoyed the state a little more, being a young 20-year-old something, because it is beautiful, a lot of things to do, but that just wasn't my priority at the time. So since then, I've been back twice with my wife. We went on our honeymoon cruise through Alaska, and I've been back there one other time. So it's great place to visit. Great place
We're
to
actually,
visit.
in fact, Jeff's going with me too. We're actually doing a Alaska
Nice.
cruise just in about 2 weeks from now, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Very
Never.
excited.
I have never been there, so this is.
Yeah, you're gonna have a blast. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
Well,
Yeah.
after the Army, what did you do after the Army, and what really led you into real estate?
So after the Army, an interesting fact is I've never worked for another man. I have always kind of been an entrepreneur. I've always started businesses. I've lost track of how many have failed along the way. 1999, I launched a landscape company called Texas Earthscapes. Started it with a truck and a trailer and a partner. And in about 5 or 6 years, we grew it to a pretty successful business. So that being said, I've always just kind of created my own path. I didn't want to walk on anybody else's path at the time. So, yes, sir.
I can certainly understand how that feels.
So you went
Yep.
from the lawn care or the landscaping, business into real estate. What was the
Yes.
transition there?
Well, honestly, the only reason I got my real estate license originally was to save money. My first wife and I used to buy and sell a couple of homes, and I just wanted to save some money. So I got my license, became a realtor. But when I jumped into it, I started my career with Keller Williams. I realized I needed to get trained, and they're great. So I started with Keller Williams. But once I got into real estate, I realized that this industry is me. I'm passionate about it. I like to be around people. I want to be in the crowd. I want to know everybody, shake hands and kiss babies, etc. But so it really fit my personality. Within about a year of becoming a realtor and really jumping into this, I sold the landscape company and I jumped into this with both feet, never looking back.
Now, in your first couple of years of real estate, you were a KW Rookie of the Year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What would you tell somebody else that's new into the business to become successful faster?
Wow. So I did jump into this business with both feet. It was either sink or swim for me. I was very fortunate that the gentleman that sponsored me into Keller Williams took a real shine to me, and he pretty much mentored me my first year and a half in the business. And the crazy thing looking back at that now, I thought that was normal when I first came into real estate. The bigger producers just want to help the new agents because that's just how it happened.
Unfortunately,
it's not. Once I got out of Keller Williams, I very quickly realized, this can be a very cutthroat industry, but there's some very special individuals that, if they like you and they see a shine in you, that they will pour knowledge into you. And I can never thank that man enough for the time that he spent with me.
I'm really glad that you had that experience. I didn't have the same experience.
Yeah. Right.
You come into the real estate, and sometimes people are willing to share, but they want to share very little if they have to share because they're afraid you're the competition. If they share too much, you're going to be able to compete with them, and you're going to be using all the ideas that they shared. So a lot of times they hold things to the vest. So
Yes.
it is important to have a family environment where everyone's willing to share and take care of each other. I think that's really important.
Indeed.
So you mentioned the company you were with before. You've been with a very large, well-known company, several other companies as well. So why did you join Fathom?
Oh, so when I left Keller, I immediately joined 100% Company here in town. I started to go through kind of a life-changing event. From the time I left Keller Williams until the time I was led to Fathom in 2010, I actually joined 6 different brokerages. I was looking for a home. They were all 100% models, some virtual, some not. They all had leadership that I believed in. And eventually thought I could grow with those guys. But the time that I found Fathom, I was with a virtual real estate company called realestate.com. Ron Beard, one of our own district directors, was their managing broker. And they basically imploded our brokerage over a phone call and gave us 2 days to find another brokerage. And that night, miraculously, I was introduced to Josh. I met him the very next morning, and I was sold hook, line, and sinker. So the mission statement and everything about this company spoke to me. And I kind of knew that this is where I wanted to either die or live out the rest of my career. One of the two. Yeah.
And so those reasons haven't changed then. So I haven't
bit.
Messed up and changed your mind.
Not a bit, man. Not a bit. It's been an unbelievable ride with this company so far.
Well, kind of on that, you've hit a lot of awards. In fact, the last, I think, 8 years, you've had you had a top award for something.
Yes.
So how do you success isn't accidental, at least
right.
Normally, not over the course of 8 years.
Right.
So what do you do to hit your goals?
Even when I was in production, I was a big time blocker. I managed my time very well. Making calls, et cetera, keeping those times straight. But when I moved into a leadership role, nothing changed a lot with that, right? As far as my goals did. Goals still changed within the industry, but they changed to more leadership. So.
Well, very good. So not only have you had an awesome real estate career, you also, obviously, we talked about earlier, manage over, or actually close to 300 agents. Very soon you'll probably be over 300 agents. You get to see some of the best agents and what they do to be successful and how they run their business. What are some of the things that differentiate a top producer from all the other agents that really makes them top producers?
I have seen a lot of agents since I've been doing this. The more successful agents run this business like a business rather than a hobby. It's kind of scary actually how many agents out there run it like a hobby just because they get a realtor's license. They feel someone's going to come calling. The more successful agents are driven. They have a passion for this business, for people, for serving. They put systems in place that they're able to monitor and keep track of everything and help build their businesses. So they truly run it more like a business than a hobby.
Well, I think that's key. One of the other things I found was really key with top producing agents is the fact that they're willing to reinvest or invest in their business.
Yes.
It's amazing how many agents I meet who just kind of have their hand out, assume that, hey, I'm a realtor now, the business is going to come. But it doesn't.
Absolutely.
You've got to be willing to invest. Even the top producing agents who 100% of their business comes from their sphere of influence are investing a lot of money in that sphere of influence. So I've seen that as well. Is that the same experience you've seen?
Oh, absolutely. And even most of the agents that move over from the bigger box brokerages to us, if we can just get them to reinvest some of that money that they were paying to the broker in the past, it will do unbelievable things for their business, as well as being able to sock away more money for their family as far as savings and everything else. Yes, sir.
So you've seen a lot of agents transition from one real estate brokerage to another as a recruiter. What are the reasons? What are people generally looking for that would cause them to make that switch?
We say a lot of times that people come here for the commission savings, but they stay for the culture and everything else we offer. And that is one of the first boxes that are checked with most of the agents that reach out to me, right? It's our commission structure and the flat fee. But once they see everything else we offer, from the healthcare and the going public and everything else and the technology, a lot of times their first comment is, why didn't I call you a year ago? Or why weren't you emailing me a year ago? It's a lot of times it's too good to be true theory, but it's really not. If you really think the agents first and you let them kind of lead the way, we serve them and they serve their clients, we're all going to grow together. It's just going to happen organically.
Yeah. It does. It amazes me how many times I meet with an agent and they say, I came for the commission, I stayed for the culture. It's kind of this I guess what I'm going to look for. I'm already messing that one up. recurring. There you go. It's recurring message. But it's amazing how many times that they come thinking, you know what? I was with a big brand. At this point, I'm very successful. I don't really need the support anymore. So, I've been told that I get no support with a company like yours. So I joined because I didn't really need the support anymore. And it shocks them how we actually provide better support than they've ever received at any company they've ever had before. Indeed. And so I'm really proud of that fact, because for me, servant leadership is everything. And I want to know that's all the way through, from myself to my leadership team, our local managers, and even to our agents themselves. So I love the fact that they say that, because it's something we really push for. And the fact that they say that shows that we're actually executing on that idea. Now, you've worked with some of the top producing agents in our company. And so your role as manager, without naming names, is there any one agent that really impressed you that you can share kind of what they did from maybe as a brand new agent or a successful agent, what they did to really achieve that success?
Wow, there's been a lot, that I could probably sit here and brag on. But one gentleman comes to mind, was joined Fathom, I believe it was the end of 2015. And he's foreign, came here with hardly any friends, hardly any database, and he jumped into our mentorship program and kind of learned how to plug into his community. He plugged into his church and his area people. He was rookie of the year his first year. I think he did a little over $5 million the first year. His second year, he did $8 million. And his third year in the business, he did 61 transactions for almost $11 million. And now the shoe is on the other foot because he is now a mentor and he is now growing a team. So it's kind of come full circle with that gentleman. So that's really neat to see a brand new agent come to our company, plug into the training, and then ultimately become one of the trainers themselves and watch that business grow. That is really satisfying.
That's a great success story.
Yes,
sir. I think the individual we're talking about, one of the things I love what they're doing, you're talking about really the sphere of influence.
Yes.
So I get a lot of agents that come to me talking about the need for, buying leads here or buying leads there. And yet, if you look at almost every one of the top producing agents that does not have a team, the vast majority of their business is coming from their sphere of influence. Like you said, this gentleman here, 60 homes per year just from his sphere of influence, and really understanding how to tap in. So I hear a lot of people say, well, I can't generate that kind of business from my sphere. Well, people don't realize that the sphere doesn't have to be huge, right? When someone says to me, I've got 1,000 people in my database, in my sphere, I can immediately tell you that they're not closing a whole lot of business.
Yeah.
When someone says, I've got 100 people in my sphere, and they're really dedicated to building those intimate relationships with that sphere, I can tell you right away they're probably closing 60, 70, 80 homes a year, because that's all you need is 100 people you're building intimate relationships with. So I love success stories like that, because here's someone just in 3 years is a very high producer, and I've met agents who've been in the business for 20 years and haven't done that much business in their whole real estate career.
Correct.
So it's pretty amazing. It also shows that sometimes it's just excuses that hold people back. You got to get out there.
Very true. And the passion that somebody has,
Yeah.
business and serving others, and he really does have it.
Apparently,
The show's not over, folks.
Sorry.
apparently someone wants us over. I actually want to follow up.
You got to
on
stop using that kind of language on the show.
Yeah,
That's what it was. No, just go ahead with follow up.
I can't even remember what the follow-up question was. I do want to follow up with that. Is that a lot of people think that you've got to be an extrovert to be successful in this business. I'm very much an introvert. I love to be kind of by myself, and putting myself out there in front of people is difficult for me. I know you are an extrovert. You love to get out there and put yourself out there.
Yes.
What can an introvert do to really get out there if that's not really their style? What can they do to grow their business? I know that's something we haven't talked about before, so I don't mean to put you on the spot. But
Yeah, no, that's fine. I've actually got a couple of agents that their biggest hurdles were actually approaching their direct sphere and their immediate friends. That's a hard hurdle for an introvert to cross, to ask their personal friends for that business. So she started it slow with emails, phone messages, pop-bys, and things like that, basically following Buffini, the referral system, et cetera. And once she started to cross those bridges kind of in a more passive way, then she was able to kind of uptick it and then approach them more on a one-on-one basis. And once she got to that point, it was just a piece of cake once she crossed that bridge.
Yeah. Going back to the idea of asking for the business, that is incredibly key, because you can have those relationships. You can take people to coffee. You can hint that you're in real estate, but if you don't ask them for the business, they're not going to know to give it to you. I mean, you assume they would, right? Duh, but they don't, right?
Right.
You got to be willing just to simply ask. And it doesn't have to be this weird moment, this awkward moment. It doesn't. You just simply, as you're grabbing your purse to go, or you're grabbing your wallet and you're saying, hey, I'm a realtor, right? Like, of course I do. Would you do me a favor? Would you, next time you meet someone who's thinking about buying or selling, would you refer them to me? Yep. Of course, they're always going to say yes, but that's not where you stop. You've got to take that one step further and say, here's a few of my business cards. Do me a favor, keep that in your purse or keep that in your office drawer. So when you meet someone, do me a favor, hand them my card, but here's where it's key. Hand them my card and say, hey, can I have Michael call you?
Yes.
Because if you just say, hey, here's the card, call them, it probably won't happen. But if you
Right.
say, here's the card, I'd love to have Michael call you, and as soon as they say yes, that person's calling you and said, hey, my friend's thinking about moving, here's their information, and they've got your card. And now it's
Absolutely.
a warm call. It makes it easy, especially if you're introverted. You really need that warm call. Having someone make the introduction for you, because it really does make it easier and a little bit more settling for you.
Absolutely. And once you go through that experience one time, it'll just become easier and easier
Natural.
every time after you do it after that.
That's right.
For sure.
Having kind of seen a lot of agents go from beginning to successful, what would you say are a couple other takeaways that our viewers could take away for how to grow their business immediately? Something they could do this week.
Even brand new agents in this industry, they need to appreciate their sphere. The people that know them best, just like Josh and we have been talking about, it is the cheapest form of real estate and the easiest form. Plug into Buffini systems, plug into systems that can help you maintain your database, but appreciate and love on your sphere. The ones that you can prove value to will talk about you to their sphere. And that's the part that you got to plug into, is the power of your sphere's sphere, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Actually, one of the things you said that it's the cheapest form, but you didn't say it's free. And I think that's where a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that's free. But it's not free. I mean, imagine every time you take someone out to coffee, you're buying them coffee, you're buying them lunch, you're doing pop buys and bringing them gifts, right? You're sending birthday cards. You find out someone's getting married, and so you're sending the mom a spa card, and the daughter, gift card to Bed Bath & Beyond. Your sphere costs money. But you have to be willing to do that, willing to invest, because that's how you're going to not only build that intimate relationship, but also kind of create that sense of, I do for you, you do for me, I'm going to help you, you're going to help me.
Reciprocity.
People want to help you. And so you're really kind of adding and kind of fueling that fire. So I do think that's key. So yes, cheapest form by all means, but not free.
Right.
So I do think that's important.
Absolutely.
What's another thing? You mentioned Buffini. Talk about Buffini for a minute.
I've always been a Buffini disciple, I guess, working by referral. It was, like I said, it was the cheapest way to do it. And coming from the landscape company, I was one of those guys that had a database of 1,000 people, but very quickly realized that it's almost impossible to market to that many people. So you got to narrow it down to the people that know you best and the people that appreciate you most. And I think I regularly marketed to probably, I think my group was 250 or 300 whenever I was at the top of my production there. So the Buffini system's remarkable. Teaches you how to break up your database, how to plug into each different section and market to each section to pull out transactions. It's great.
One of the things that you mentioned earlier is about time blocking and managing your time.
Putting in the hours.
Yeah, putting in the hours. I mean, as a realtor, as a business owner, your time is your time, and there's nobody over your shoulder. There's if you don't have a mentor, you don't have accountability. So maybe talk to that. How do you block your time? What would you recommend to an agent to block their time? And do you see people that just don't? If you think of like a 40-hour work week, are they putting in the 40 hours, or is this kind of a lot of lunch?
No,
dates. And
a lot of agents you'll see are just they're all over the board, and that's another reason that their business is doing this, the roller coaster, not consistently doing the little things that keeps it to the top. I've always time blocked with my time. I learned obviously with Buffini in the military, I got very disciplined with that. But I learned early on, if you get out of your routine because an appointment all of a sudden sets you out of straight, you have to find that time to replace it later on, whether it was phone calls or the letters that you weren't able to write at that time, etc. You just have to keep up with the little things.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say we had a comment from one of our viewers. He said, "Remind the introverts to tell family and friends that the agent does not need to know about personal finances. That's confidential, by the way, between the buyer and the loan officer." So,
thank you.
Yeah.
You actually mentioned the highs and the lows, and I love that you brought that up because it's really important for people to think about the highs and the lows.
Yes.
Part of the reason for the highs and the lows is because they start getting busy, right? They're at the low. They're putting all their time in meeting people, investing in their business, and they start getting busy. And what do? They stopped investing in people and those relationships and their business. And as soon as those deals start to close, they're back into the low. And now they're back to investing in the time, investing in the people, relationships, and it goes back up. And so it's really important to understand if that's happening in your business, you've got to understand why that's happening and recognize that part of being consistent and putting the hours and part of time blocking is that every single day you're going to do the same thing no matter how busy you are. So that way you're constant or consistent with your marketing. That way there are no highs and lows. It should be steady. Like once you build up to it, it should be steady, if not growing, because you're constantly adding more and more time and energy into it. So putting the hours and really time blocking, I think, is key. And in the fact that you brought that up, I think it's important for people to hear that over and over and over again. It really is key.
And another thing too. Sorry to interrupt you, Josh. Is coaching. I enrolled in coaching whenever I was in production. I actually did the coaching that we have here at Fathom through JTS. It's great. A lot of agents out there need that third-party person kind of keeping a thumb on them. And whether a lot of agents do or not, it'll help. At least try it, right? It may help your business if you want to get to that next level. And a lot of agents, they're excuses themselves, right? Jeff asked me the other day what the most recent book I read was. And it was from a Navy SEAL. Yeah, called Extreme Ownership. And I read this about 18 months ago, going through some kind of life changes at the time. And just it kind of made me realize that I'm in my own way a lot of times. Get out of your own head, quit having a pity party, right? And just do what needs done.
Take ownership. That's right.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's actually true. Yeah, you talked about also stop making excuses, but before I go to that, I want to kind of come back to the idea of coaching. So Buffini is a great program. If you haven't done it, I think it's fantastic. There's also By Referral is another program. There's a lot of great programs out there. One of the best things about the programs is just simply the idea of accountability. And you don't have to, as much as I encourage people to do it, you don't have to join a program like that and invest the money to be able to have that accountability. One of the things I'd recommend you do if you save some money, find someone that's in your brokerage, that's in your team, that's in your area. Maybe they're not even with your brokerage. Just find someone to be your accountability partner. Get together once a week and just share life together. Because sometimes what's holding you back is not the business. It's the fact that maybe life is holding you back. And sometimes you've got to share that with someone else, get that off your chest, get the encouragement to move past whatever's holding you back, to be able to reinvest that time back in. So find an accountability partner. It doesn't have to cost money to do that. But every time I see an agent actually implement that and do that, I see their business grow without fail. So Indeed. It will help. Even if it's only 5 or 10%, I've seen it help people grow. I've seen it help people double their business.
People can tell you things about you that you don't see,
right.
Because they're looking at it from more bird's eye view. So it's a very important thing.
But I also love the fact you said stop making excuses.
Stop making excuses. Yep.
What kind of excuses have you heard? And maybe you can't think of all the
time. Oh my God! A lot. It all comes down to time, and mainly the biggest excuse is I have a client to meet. I don't know if it's true or not all the time, right? But that's what I get a lot. I got a client to meet, or as far as meeting, Now other excuses, just life. People let life get in the way a lot of times when it's not that overwhelming. If you just kind of slow down and take a deep breath, realize what you need to do. And kind of refocus. Another interesting fact, kind of back to the beginning, I started doing yoga about a month and a half ago, and it really helps relax a lot of things. I do it in the morning before I get rolling, and it helps kind of really clear your mind for the day.
You're not doing that goat yoga, are you?
No, not doing that, but that's interesting, right? That might have to check that out sometime along the way. Sure.
I was in Austin with my older brother, and we were walking down, and there's a yoga studio. And it says goat yoga, and sure enough,
I've seen the videos.
People doing goat yoga.
So is that where the goat does the yoga, or are you doing yoga with the goat?
They're climbing all over you as you're doing the yoga.
They're climbing on your back as you're doing downward dog. They're jumping on your back. It's the craziest thing. So I don't know. I don't want a hoof digging into my back. No. So it doesn't sound fun. So yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, I think I want to go back to excuses though. I hear a lot of excuses as well. Agents that feel like they're doing really well, they're closing, say, 1 deal per month. That's not a bad living. But to get to the next level, it really is sometimes just getting past those excuses you make of yourself, because 1 deal a month is not 40 hours a week. If you're really putting in that 40 hours a week, you're going to be closing more than one deal a month. You should be closing 2, 3, or 4 deals per month with that many hours put in. Sometimes it comes back to where you're putting those hours. If you're putting the hours just into Facebook, well, that's not productive hours.
Right.
And people say that. People say, yeah, I'm doing that marketing-wise. Well, Facebook is fine for marketing. I highly encourage it. It's a great source of marketing. But if you're just browsing and liking or commenting, it's not effective. Yes. The way something like Facebook's, and I don't mean to deviate, but the way Facebook is effective is if you're targeting people that you really want to build a relationship with and not just liking what they say, but comment and then go and private message them. Things like, hey, I saw the pictures from your vacation. I can't believe how fast your daughter's growing. It's been way too long since we grabbed coffee together. Let's meet up. Right? Mm-hmm. It gives you an ability to bring those relationships offline and personal and really reconnect. Because if you don't reconnect, they're not going to refer.
Yep, very true.
One of the tools that we offered in a previous episode, and we'll put it in the show notes below. It's not there right now, but we'll make sure it's there after the show. Is a business planner, because it shows you where your time is. And as we were getting that ready for agents to be able to download, it hit me. If you're working a 40-hour week and you're doing 12 homes a year, that means that you're spending 160 hours per home. That's a lot of hours.
It is
to sell one home.
That doesn't compute.
Does not compute. So now, if you're part-time or dual, what do they call it? Dual career agent. I mean, that's a little bit different. But 160 hours in one home, that's a lot of time. And that business planner will show you, okay, here's a way that you can just very easily block out your day, spend your time, and get things done.
I do want to add one thing, and that is, by no means am I saying 12 homes a year is bad. Because we have agents who close 3 homes per year, and the fact is that's what they want to do.
Right.
That's one of the beautiful things about real estate is you don't have to, right? If you can have this as a job that helps, as a career that really helps you add money to retirement or help pay for your kids' college. I've had agents that join the company say, thanks to your commission structure, I've got more money left over. I paid for my child's college free and clear, no debt, and so that's incredible. But I don't mean to imply that if you don't do at least 12 homes a year or more, that you're not a good agent. That is not the case. I've heard brokerages, I've heard managers or brokers say things like that before, and that is completely wrong. The real estate is you, and so you can close as many or as few homes as you want, and God bless you. What we're really getting to is if you want to close more, and you're stuck at 5, you're stuck at 6, and you're not really sure how to get to the next level, here's how you do it. Stop making excuses, put in the time, put systems together, find accountability. You've got to, and I think it really comes back to the excuses. You've got to stop, and if you don't know how to do it, find a mentor or a coach who can help you get past it, understand how. Because the only thing holding you back is you. There is no ceiling in real estate. If you want to make $1 million a year, you can do that. Absolutely.
Very true. Very true.
Any last closing remarks, Michael? Otherwise, we'll first of all thank you for joining us.
And thank you again for your service too.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for yours. No, not really. Just appreciate you guys' time today. This has been it's been fun.
Oh no, thank you. We really it turned into, I think, a very, very helpful show. I hope that you who are watching are motivated hearing this, and just not only seeing Michael go, in the last few years of his life go from something totally outside of real estate to what he's doing now, and that might be a path for you. Maybe leadership would be a path for you, but definitely some good motivation there. Before we let you go, of course, we want to remind you that Fathom does offer 100% commission in the tools designed for your success. That includes things like KV Core, agent equity, healthcare, the tools, the technology that you need to get a paperless transaction system, and so much more.
I want to add one thing. So one of the most important things that he mentioned or did not mention is support. One of the things we talked about earlier, I'm so proud of with Fathom is, and I know I'm biased, I'm the CEO, but I truly believe we provide the best support in the industry. Just in Dallas-Fort Worth, you've got 9 district directors who you can call any one of them anytime, and they will all help you through to fruition. They're not going to say, oh no, call your broker. They're going to help you. We've got a huge customer service team, compliance team, available from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to help you. This is not some email support. This is phone support, in-person support. Our managers will buy you coffee and help you through whatever you're going through. And I do too. I meet with several agents every single week. I talk to an agent every single day on the phone. And so I think it's really important that for people to understand that this is not, just because it's 100% doesn't mean you get nothing. We give you everything you get with any other brokerage.
Well, why don't
that also, as far as the agent support, I've got support that's unheard of as well. The agents call me from time to time that I may not know the answer to that question. And I've immediately got 10, 11 other brains to turn to and have that question for the answer and for the agent and then relay it within minutes. So my support is also a mile long, which makes the support to them that much better. So just wanted to add that real quick.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. For next week's show, you're not going to want to miss it. Our guest, Genevieve Golden, she has sold 90 homes within a year without hiring an assistant. That is astounding. So she's going to be with us and talking about how you can gain clients and keep them for life. She's very, very good at building her sphere and working that and getting deals from that. So really interesting story and business that she runs. So make sure that you tune in next week to watch Genevieve and hear stuff from her. And be ready to ask questions. I mean, we have the chat window open. So as you're thinking about next week, maybe come with some questions for Genevieve. I'm sure she would love to answer those for you and inspire you in any way that she can. So thanks for watching, and we'll tune in with us next week at 1:30.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody.